Talking to myself. Hi, Liberty. Nice to meet you. Oh, I can't hear you. I'm going to be letting more people in while you sort out your sound issue. Hi, Saad. Liberty.
Hello.
Hi, Saad. Nice to meet you. Just waiting for everyone to come in. Liberty's with us, but we can't hear you, Liberty. No. Try rejoining as well. Try rejoining. Yeah, I can't hear you. We've got time. We've got time. We're waiting for more people to come in. Asad, I don't know if you're able to turn your camera on. If you can, that would be great. If not, I understand.
I'll rejoin you.
Ah, Liberty, I can hear you now.
Okay. Thank you.
It's all right. Technology.
Hiya.
Hi, Saad.
Hello.
Hi, Saad.
Hiya.
Oh, here we go. People starting to come in. I will get started in a minute. Hi, Brett.
Hey, buddy.
We're just waiting for some more people to come in.
Sorry I'm late.
That's all right. That's all right. We're still waiting. But meanwhile, I don't know if Brett. It looks like you're driving, so it might not be possible for you.
I can pull over.
Okay, well, it's up to you. It would be good to get some. What I'm hoping to do is get some, some engagement on the chat. So if you guys want to just pop in the chat where you're located, I'll get an idea of, I'll get an idea of where you. Excuse me a second. Sorry.
That one.
Hi, Jamal. So yeah, just pop it in the chat, where you're coming from, and I've got some additional questions as well. But when we've got a few more people, I'll sort of officially start.
Sure.
And introduce myself.
Okay.
But Bristol, UK, is that hard?
Bristol, UK.
Yeah. I should put
Okay.
I'm coming from. I'm in just practice what I preach. I'm in Prague, in the Czech Republic. London. Okay. And where are you coming in from, Brett?
So I'm in Arkansas.
Okay.
Is where I live. Primarily, it's my platform will be an Arkansas-based platform.
Right. Okay.
Initially, with a regional expansion, not going to probably scale more than regionally just because of the logistics.
Yeah. Fair enough. Fantastic. Okay. Well, look, I'm going to make a start, Jamal. You haven't put where you're from, so you can't get away that easily. But I'll make a start. So and then as people come in, they can watch the recordings later on if they want to. So first of all, welcome. This is a free clinic that I run regularly, just to sort of help founders to move forward. It's kind of part of my academy, but that's a paid academy, but this is free just to sort of try and help people. So my name, in case you don't know, is Stuart Prestage, and I've been in the tech world for about coming up to 40 years, so a long time. And I spend almost all of my time now just helping other founders like yourself to succeed, is how I put it. And of course, success means different things to different people. I mentioned my academy, so I have a program and an academy to help early stage founders obtain funding, and the academy is to help founders in any area. So, thanks, Jamal, for putting your location in Hertfordshire. Yeah, I know it. So that's me. That's about me and a little bit about the academy. Now, this clinic is, as I said, every month. So I hope and I can help with any issues or decisions or worries or anything that you have in the areas of business, funding, tech, and even mindset. Mindset. Now, first of all, I'm going to cover, I think we had one question submitted. I'm going to cover that first. After that, I'm going to open up the floor and, you know, kind of ask each of you about your startup briefly, about any sort of hurdles that you've got. Excuse me, and forgive me, I'm just recovering from a cold, so I might struggle. So before diving into the questions that you've got for me, I've got a couple of questions for you to give me some context. And Brett, I don't know if you can't text, that's fine. You can, you know, open up your mic in a minute and you can tell me. But I need to know, for some context, a few, you know, small number of questions, 4 questions I've got. So the first question is, what stage is your startup currently at? Brett, I'm going to just mute you for a second.
Sure.
Because there's a lot of background noise, but when you need to speak, just unmute yourself. It's no problem.
No, I can. I'm pulling over right now, so we should be good.
Okay. Okay. So first question is, what stage are you at? So yeah, thanks, thanks, Hard. Hopefully I'm pronouncing your name correctly. So some options here are, so I understand your pre-seed stage, but what stage is the startup at? So is it just the idea stage? Are you in the validating stage? Is your MVP in progress? Have you launched an MVP? So separate to the funding side of things, you know, where are you at in the journey?
So for me, we started like building the solution. So we are just in the solution phase.
Okay. Okay, so validating or implementing?
Implementing.
Okay, good, good. All right, so thanks for that. So you're validating. And guys, Liberty, Brett, and Jamal, do you want to just pop in the chat where you are, what stage you're at?
I was gonna write pre-seed, but I already have done my prototype.
Okay.
And it was successful. So
Technically successful.
yes, because mine is a greetings card, but
Okay.
with a twist.
Okay. Okay. So you've got it to technically work.
And it worked without even a website, and I'm supposed to have a website.
Well, there is kind of, sometimes there's supposed to, but you know, it's not, there's always different situations. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Jamal, MVP 60% complete. Okay. So I'm making the assumption that you've done the validation piece or initial validation, so we'll come on to that. So next question I have is, you know, what is the current funding situation? What is your funding situation? Are you bootstrapped? Are you looking for pre-seed funding? Have you received any funding, pre-seed or otherwise?
That's my biggest hurdle. You know, I have my app is in my wheelhouse that I've been in for 15 to 20 years. And, you know, it's a non-saturated platform as far as, you know, in the space that I'm in currently, and that I'm just basically changing up the way I'm going to be, you know, I guess doing business in the auto sales industry. Just going with the trend and developing a private party acquisition platform. And that's definitely my biggest hurdle is you know, funding. I've met with all the right people that I would was sure that was going to be, you know, interested in funding, helping me with funding, and I just strike out every time. Very discouraging. Everybody, you know, it's a lot of positive feedback, but no checkbook, no checks have been written.
Yeah, yeah. So you're looking for funding, looking for pre-seed funding.
100%, just yeah. And it's, you know, I don't know what's considered a lot when you're looking for funding, but you know, 250 to 300,000 is kind of where I'm looking at initially to develop my platform, mobile app, web app, a little bit of marketing,
Yeah.
you know, funding.
Okay.
But you know, nothing. And again, it's, you know, a lot of positive feedback. Very confident in my platform, in my concept, because I know this. I know the space. I've been, you know, I've been in the space for a long time, and I'm just like, what's the problem? You know what?
Okay. All right.
There's
Well,
not a lot of VCs in Arkansas. There's not a lot of angel funding in Arkansas. So you know, don't really know what my next step's going to be.
Yeah.
I looked at, you know, I'm currently looking at an AI driven, you know, platform, but I just don't think, nothing against the guys that I'm talking to. They're great guys, but and they're substantially cheaper. Obviously, it'd be easier to get my hands on the money, but I don't know that, because it's not a full service development firm. I just don't know that I would. I think I would. I feel like it wouldn't be the platform I needed.
Okay. All right. So let's park that a second. So you're looking at pre-seed funding. I'm starting to get a picture of your needs. Yep. Okay. Thanks for that. And we'll come back to that, Brett. Jamal, you've chickened out of responding. Sorry, no offense.
So
Jamal,
Stuart, I'm driving at the moment.
oh, I see. Sorry.
I've been bootstrapping, obviously from the beginning.
Okay.
I was actually just gonna start with family and friends. I was actually just putting a plan together for family and friends now. And I did actually have a question based around that, but obviously when you're ready, I'll ask the question.
All right. Well, we'll come on to that in a minute. Okay, great. That gives me so Jamal, bootstrapping and friends and family. All right, fantastic. And last question, if you could pop in the chat, if there's one thing, because obviously I haven't got time to necessarily do a deep dive with each of you, but if there's one thing that you'd love help with today, the one thing you want to take away from today, just write that down for me, and I can be thinking about that, you know, while we're talking. And Jamal, you're driving. Brett, I think you're pulled over, so you can probably talk. But Jamal, if you just want to have a think and then open up your mic when you're ready to tell me your one thing, and I'll write it down for you.
Mine would be loans first equity.
Say again, please. Jamal, say again, please. Oh, loans versus. Okay. As in getting funding via a loan versus via equity. Okay. As in which is the best route to go, or how do you go down both of those routes? All right. Well, I'll assume it's which is the best route to go. Oh, sorry.
What I meant is obviously which is the best route with friends and family. With friends and family, if they're giving like significant money. So I've got a bit of overlap. I don't know if you heard me. It's mainly more if I'm going with friends and family and they're giving like quite significant contributions. I'm better off taking it as a loan or taking it as equity.
Oh, I see. Right. I got it. So should friends and family be a loan or equity? Right. Okay. Fantastic. Thank you so much, guys. So that's Jamal. Saad's looking for funding, and oh, sorry, that was the previous question. So what's the one thing? So Liberty investment and how much equity to give. Okay, great question. And Saad and Brett, I'm assuming you're still typing or thinking.
My my thing is just obviously, primarily, what is the best route to go in getting funding. I mean,
Yeah.
I've had lots of meetings, like I said, and I felt like
Yeah.
I was meeting with the right people, and I just, keep striking out. It's very frustrating, I'll be honest.
Okay, so
At this point, I don't even care how much equity I give up. I just need funding.
yeah, so Brett, then, so while you're on that, what you've had conversations with people, you said, and
Lots of people.
What feedback have you had?
Just good idea, good concept. They like the fact that it's not a saturated market, that there's not a ton of other. Well, matter of fact, there's no other platforms that are like mine, especially in this region, in this state, in this space. So it's there's not a lot of competition. I'm not like competing with a lot of people. Yeah, it's a great idea, but that's it. That's the only feedback I'm getting. I'm not
Hang
really.
on, why are they not investing? What's the reason?
I don't.
Do you ask? Do you ask?
Yeah, I don't want to make it awkward for the people that I've, but not really, doesn't really, haven't really gotten an answer or any
Okay.
feedback.
So I would say it's hard to get feedback, but I would say if you're having these conversations, you should, people will always say positive things if they don't want to give you an answer, but you should, and there's a way of saying this, say, look, I understand if this investment isn't right for you, and I respect that. So you immediately, there's no pressure. It's just now a conversation,
Right.
But then, frame it in such a way it will be really helpful to me to understand the reason why you're not investing.
Right.
So that I can go away and improve and and increase my chances of getting investment.
Sure.
And that hopefully they will respect that. They should respect that, even if they don't want you to go back to them. Now, the reason might be a technical one. I say technical, I mean a funding technical one, such as it's not their thesis, not the right stage, the opportunity size isn't right, the industry isn't right. There could be a sort of reason that's not anything against you why they're not funding. Okay, and that is you've approached the wrong investor or at the wrong time, for example.
Right.
The other type of feedback could be that, okay, you need revenue, or I do see when people don't believe in the founder, we don't believe in the founder, or you haven't answered our questions clearly enough or confidently enough.
Right.
Things like that. So it's really important to understand what those are. Now, can you go back to the people, even via an email or a quick text or conversation? Can you go back to the people and say, look, I forgot to ask you what the reason why, I didn't, some kind of wording that goes back in a non-pushy way that says, oh, would you just mind just telling me the reason you didn't invest, so that so like we just discussed. Is that a possibility?
It is, but I mean, I didn't get the vibe that it would even be worth even discussing it any further, to be honest with you.
It's not about changing their minds. When an investor says no, it's a no. There's 0 point trying to change their mind. That's not what we're trying to do here.
Right.
You're trying to just understand the reason so that you can pivot accordingly.
Right.
It could be that your pitch deck is, incomplete or not clear. It could be the opportunity isn't large enough. It could be that the team hasn't got all the skills. It could be the timing, might take too long or cost too much to build. There's a whole raft of reasons, and if you don't know, does that make sense?
Oh, 100%. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I've been over all of it in my head and on paper and all that, but
yeah, and that until you actually get feedback from an investor, it's all theoretical.
Sure.
Okay, all right. So if we've got time, I'll circle back, Brett. But let's Liberty. If I move to you, investment and how much equity to give.
Yes.
So you want to know how much equity you should give away, or
what is the reasonable investment really is what I
yeah. Well,
say.
there is a kind of a standard range, which you can just Google or ChatGPT or something. But I would, all startups that are seeking pre-seed funding because they are pre-revenue and theoretically not able to be valued accurately, my preference is always to go for a non-priced round.
Mm-hmm.
What that means is a round where you are not saying how much equity you're giving away, and you are basically doing what's called a convertible note. What that means is you are receiving funding now, but you will be giving the equity away later. And that later is at a time or at a trigger point, let's say, when you can more easily value the company. So when you're revenue generating, when you're doing a future price round, some point later on, trigger kicks in. And you work out the valuation of the company, you work out how much equity that money you were given it is worth. Typically, a little bit more is added, to make up for the risk that the investor has given. And this is done in the UK through either a safe note or an ASA. You can Google safe in chat. Safe note or ASA, and you can Google these things. Also, I've got a whole series. I've got a whole series on. I've got a whole book on all this that explains all this stuff. So just reach out to me afterwards if you can't find that, and I'll send you the link.
Okay.
But basically, you then don't need to decide up front how much equity to give away.
Okay.
But if an investor insists on that, then you have a conversation. It's just a negotiation. But investor won't want to give too much away.
15 with 113.
An experienced investor won't want to give too much away because that disincentivizes you. If you give away 50% of your company, for example, you're less incentivized to work hard and make a success of it.
Yeah, because with my idea or with my business model is two-pronged. One to the end user, and the other one will be the service provider. Because my idea is a read aloud message from somebody who sent a digital message. It will be read aloud to the recipient.
Mm-hmm.
And I will have the hotels, restaurants, or airlines to deliver the message to the recipient. And then it will have co-branding as well. It will have the logo.
Okay, that aside, that's your solution, and that's part of the problem you're solving, and what you're doing, etc. That is a kind of a separate piece to the investing mechanism.
Yeah.
So my question to you is, does that answer your question about equity?
Yes, your answer gave me.
Okay, fantastic. And again, I'll circle back if you've got any more questions. I'll circle back. I just want to get to Saad and Jamal. So hopefully that answers your main question.
Yes, I did.
Fantastic. So Saad, your question: how do I go about getting funding at the ideation stage? Yeah, the age-old question, the chicken and egg problem. How to get the story right at this stage? Okay, how long you got?
Yes.
So how do I go about getting funding? The answer is one word, which is traction. You can get funding, although it seems to be getting harder and harder, I have to be honest. You can get funding before revenue generating, but in the UK at least, it seems to be getting a lot harder. US, it seems to be getting a little bit harder, but it's still possible. I've seen it. But recently, you know, founders I'm helping are finding it harder. But traction is your friend. It's the most important thing.
Okay.
Now, traction doesn't just have to be revenue. It can be letters of intent, wait lists. It can be partnership agreements. It can be pre-sales. You know, if I don't know what you're doing, Saad, but sometimes it's possible to get pre-sales. You know, obviously you're going to give away big discounts and other benefits for people to want to pay you that. But if you get pre-sales, that tells investors, I'm you, not just investors, but you as well, I'm onto a winner. I'm onto something that people will pay for. Companies or people, depending on what industry you're in, will pay for. And that is typically how you get funding at the ideation stage. However, I would never, ever go for funding until you've done a real thorough market research. And that includes not just actual research, but competitive analysis and interview customers. And there's a whole sort of reason why you would interview customers and how to interview customers to get traction, to get potential future customers, to validate your idea, all that kind of stuff. So don't go for funding until you've done that, at least that sort of validation.
So if your customers, if it's a B2B solution, how do you interview customers in such situation? Because now you are dealing with just businesses, right?
Well,
so
you'd always be dealing with people inside businesses. So part of your research should be to determine the role. Now you've got the roles. You've got customer roles. Oh, we've lost Brett. Okay. You've got customers who are the business is the customer, but within the business, you've got the decision makers. So the people who are deciding, who control the budget and are deciding whether or not to purchase your product. And that may or may not be the same as the actual end users. So depending on the situation, sometimes you need to interview both of those people. Sometimes usage is mandated, so you would only need to sort of, you know, validate with the customer because they would decide to buy and mandate that it gets used by, you know, depends on the size of the company, what the solution is. But sometimes, you know, you need to interview the users to find out what the real problem is, what the real need, what the impact of that need is. But you should definitely interview the customers. So you reach out to people, you reach out to, you know, I don't know, the IT director or whoever in your target customer company, and you build a relationship with them. You try to, I know it's hard because you're going cold. If you can get an introduction, great, through your network. But you're trying to build a relationship with these people in order for them to become a future customer. But in doing so, you're going to be, you know, trying to understand their problem, not just what the problem is, but what their view of that problem is. Does that make sense? I can go deeper, but I could go on forever about this stuff. Does that kind of answer the question?
Yeah, top level, it makes sense. But yeah, the major issue, I guess, is that for someone that is very busy with their businesses, how do you, in fact, even get in contact with them? I know you could message people on LinkedIn and many things like that, but to start having physical meeting about a solution they are not ready to buy yet.
Yeah, you don't start with, I have a solution to do this, you know, blah blah blah. I prefer to start with, you know, I'm doing some market research, you know, I understand you're really busy, but would you have 10 minutes, you know, just to sort of help me just to check if the research I'm doing is right to benefit you and your company, you know, starting off modest, respectful, not asking too much, and it's a numbers game. You know, probably 5% of people you contact will even reply to you. That's life, I'm afraid. But if you're trying to get investment, you know, it should be that there are thousands and thousands and thousands of companies, you know, tens, hundreds of thousands of companies that are potential customers. So you should have no shortage of people to contact. But it is a numbers game, and it, you know, it's can be very tedious. I have clients who like seem to magically have conversations with people. Oh yeah, I spoke to 10 people in the last week, and I have other clients that really struggle with this. Now, sometimes that's a function of the founder themselves and their way of coming across and wording it. Sometimes it's a function of the industry. I think you've just got to try and get the data and evolve.
Yeah.
But I think the takeaway is you have to validate before you start building product, before you start trying to get investment.
Okay. Then how do we get the story right?
Say again, please.
How do we get the story? How do we get the story right? So yeah, how do we tell the story about the solution?
Well, yeah, that's a hard one. That's kind of very subjective and specific to any given situation. But an investor, the deck and the story has to flow. So I like to understand the background of the founder, first of all. Really take the time to think about you, your history, your accolades, you know, your passion. Why are you doing this? You know, what in your past led you to doing what you're doing, and then what in your past gave you that credibility, that ability to actually do what you're doing. Okay, that's you and your story. And then you've got to tie that into the actual problem itself. You know, like, you know, there is this problem that, you know, I'm passionate about solving, and lay out what the problem is, and the impact of that problem. But the trouble is, in a pitch deck, for example, every word has to earn its place. You've got to be maximally succinct, but at the same time, your deck has to be skimmable, but it has to flow. So what I like to do is, in my deck, I like to have the titles of each slide, and I have a standard structure which kind of flows. But I like to make sure that if you were to just read the titles of the slide, for example, it tells the story. So I like to start with the mission, you know, the mission you're on, because, you know, not everyone likes to start there, but it starts to tell your story and the story of the problem that you're trying to solve. You definitely want to be, here's the problem, here's the impact of that problem, here's our solution, but not going into product. Don't go into the actual implementation of it straight away, because honestly, investors don't care what the product is. If you came along and said, there's this problem, there's a massive financial impact, and my solution will solve this problem, and they said, oh, how are you going to do this? And you said, I've got this magic wand that fixes the problem. They wouldn't care. They wouldn't care if it was a magic wand, or if it was, you know, a piece of software, or if it was like, you know, this plugin for a spreadsheet. It doesn't matter. So don't. And this is a common problem where founders talk about the product. And at Liberty, you started doing that. I noticed we were talking about equity and investment, and you started talking about your product, and it's so natural to want to do that all the time.
So it was wrong.
No, I mean, it's natural. I do it. I do it myself. You know, I've created many products, and I'm equally guilty of it. I have to catch myself, but
Okay.
and think about what an investor wants to know. They want to know what domain you're in, what's the problem and the impact, what's the opportunity size, and what are the risks? Have they been and how have they been mitigated? That's what they care about.
Okay. Yeah.
And a lot of these things you care about too. And I always say, don't fall in love with your solution, you know, let alone the product. Fall in love with the customer, fall in love with the problem. The solution comes out in the wash. You might need to change the solution as you go, but the solution is kind of like, it doesn't matter what it is, we solve the problem. Here are the benefits of it.
Yeah.
Which should mirror what the negative impacts are of the problem.
Mm-hmm.
Does that help with the story side, Saad?
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, that was.
Okay, thank you.
That was meaty.
Good. Well, you get the recording of this call, so you can review it if you want to. Jamal, I'm just looking up what you. Hi. So you said your question was. Excuse me. Sorry, I'm just recovering from a cold and it's struggling a bit. So what's loans versus yes? So friends and family loans versus equity.
I feel like you kind of touched on it a little bit already, but continue.
Yeah, I mean, I think fundamentally, my opinion, and you know, people may disagree with this, but my opinion is that friends and family should be treated like every other investor.
Okay.
That's my opinion. Now, what that means is you should be properly presenting to them and they should care about the opportunity and the risks, like we just mentioned.
Yeah, of course.
And you should have a proper agreement with them, just like you would with other investors. Now, I still wouldn't give equity away because you've immediately put a value on your company, which might shoot you in the foot later on.
Okay.
Because it might be way too low, you know, in which case your friends and family won't be happy, or it may be way too high, which scuppers your ability to give equity away in the future.
Yeah.
If you do give equity away, make sure it's dilutable. You know, let's say you go 50% to your friends and family. If it's dilutable, that's fine. An investor will come along and it'll be like, right, your friends and family have got 50%, you've got 50%. Doesn't matter. The percentage they get could be 70%. It won't be, but you know, hypothetically, you know, to prove the point, it could be 70%. They can still get 70% if the friends and family equity is dilutable. If it wasn't dilutable, the maximum they could get is 50%, and you'd end up with nothing. So if you do give equity away, that's how you should do it. But I still would say consider a safe note. Consider, you know, get the money now, give the equity away later when you've got a valuation on the product.
And like, how does that work later on? Because if someone gives, say, £2,000 and another person gives £10,000,
yeah,
and they both got this note, how do they go about negotiating what would be fair?
It's not a negotiation. It would be if one gives 2,000 and another gives 10,000, and hypothetically, let's say the company is worth 20,000 at the time of valuation. The 2,000 person would get 10% equity. The 10,000 person would get 50% equity.
And do you not think it's best to take an approach of, like, for anyone that would like accept it, either just taking it as a loan where they'll just get paid back the sum of the value, or maybe
who would be the legal entity having the agreement, the loan agreement? Would it be you or your company?
my company?
So if the company fails, what will happen to that loan?
I guess the loan would fail as well.
Exactly. So it's kind of pointless.
Yeah.
And if it's a loan from you, and I can't give you financial advice here, but if it's a loan from you, then it's effectively a debt on the company anyway, because you'd want that money. You'd want to give that money to the company and be owed it back at some point.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I guess there is an argument for it, but it would be much, in my opinion, it's much better to treat friends and family like any other investor. You know, you do the same investor updates, you do the same pitch to them, have the same agreement with them. And that way it's a formal relationship. So that doesn't actually, hopefully, is less likely to affect your relationship with them should the business fail. You know, especially having a formal agreement.
And so, sorry to try and slip in another question, but say if like the same scenario, but I'm bringing on an employee, but the employee is kind of like more of a co-founder level. So if there was like a senior developer, but they're more taking on like a CTO kind of role, what would I do then? Would I offer them, what kind of equity would I offer them that's fair if they're kind of working part-time on a project?
Yeah, this is another how long's a piece of string, because yeah, this is a minefield, honestly. You know, and I haven't got time to go into too much detail, and I don't want to do you an injustice by giving you half an answer, but I'll try and give you the headlines.
Yeah.
You've got to consider all eventualities. So the biggest issue you might have is if they want to leave at some point.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
So there are mechanisms around that, which is, you know, share options. So they, you know, they earn their shares over time.
Yeah.
You know, up to a maximum percentage.
Like vesting yeah, basically.
Exactly. Share options at best. Yeah. And you should be very, very clear between you on roles and responsibilities and expectations.
All
right. You know, and write these things down, document these things. I think you know, you don't want to give away too much. You don't want to give away too little. You don't want to lose out if they want to leave. You've just got to. I think you've just got to have open and honest conversations with them.
Okay.
And come to it. You know, everything's a negotiation, isn't it?
Yeah.
So you know, don't start too low, but start low. And but at the same time, you know, become your partner. So you want to be, you know, you want to be trusted and respected both ways. So you be open about the reasoning behind your thinking.
Okay.
You know, and if someone wants to leave a startup, it's not like necessarily kind of like a slight, an insult. It's like, okay, this isn't right for you now. So it's not something. It's not a reason to fall out with someone. So you know, plan ahead. Always try and plan ahead, and just say, look, you know, if you want to leave in the future, you know, I understand that happens, and that's fine. So we need to allow for that possibility, for example.
Okay.
I think in general, openness, honesty, transparency, you know, planning ahead, planning for every eventuality. You'll come up with a solution that you're happy with. But as I mentioned earlier, make sure those shares are dilutable.
Okay, cool.
Or you'll just be diluting yourself instead.
I was planning on booking a call with you. I've just been quite busy this month. I've just had a child, but
yes,
I think maybe I'd want to touch on obviously how to do something like dilutable shares, because I've looked into it, but it's not anything I've ever done before.
Yeah.
So maybe that yeah, it could definitely be part of the subject.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, actually, now might be a good time to talk about options. So, I mentioned earlier my academy. Now, I don't know if any of you guys have had a look at that, but I'm running an offer at the moment where you can basically get 4 weeks of academy access for, you know, £1 basically, which will come along with 4 clinics, a weekly clinic, plus the forum, so you can ask questions in the clinic, in the forum. So let me, in case you're interested, I do recommend, you know, giving it a go. Hang on, I've got to find the links now. You're all in the UK, aren't you? That's right. So I just need to be the UK link. And we lost Brett. I don't know where he went, but I'll chase him. So I would recommend having a look at that. Here's the Academy website. But yeah, Jamal, that will allow us to go a little bit deeper on these things. There is the option of one-to-one, but that's kind of paid extra. So you can book one-to-one time with me, but we can go a little bit deeper in a group context. But obviously, group context is not confidential, so but the one-to-ones are confidential. So just be mindful of that. Yeah, so with the Academy, you get resources, you get tools, you get an AI chatbot to help you. You get clinics like this every week. As the Academy grows, I'll add more. You will get community with a forum of other founders that will, we like to help each other, as I'm sure you know. Okay, so guys, do you have any more questions either on the Academy or anything to do with your startups that I can cover in the next few minutes?
What is the
Yes.
best?
Sorry, go on, Liberty.
Okay. What is the best thing to say when you are like doing the projections in your startup? Would it be the projected goal for the financial projections, or would it be a conservative number?
Well, let me just hold that thought, Liberty, 1 second. Hi, Yinka. Just to let you know, Yinka, I'll get the recording out to you so you can watch the beginning of the call, and if we have time, I'll come on to your actual question. So let me just answer Liberty, and then I'll have a chat with you. So Liberty, you're asking, if I've understood you correctly, you're asking, should you be conservative in your projections or more bullish?
Yes.
More bullish. Okay, first of all,
but it's achievable, please.
well, obviously you've got to be realistic.
Yes.
I would say that in order to answer that question, and I think it differs from startup to startup, you've got to have a really solid business plan spreadsheet,
Okay.
which will allow you, and this is one of the resources that you get in the Academy. I have a template for this that I use with all of my one-to-one clients. But that will allow you to test different scenarios. Because, for example, if you're more bullish on the estimates, the projections, then that becomes a higher percentage of the SAM. I don't know if you're aware of TAM, SAM, and SOM, the market sizing model, but the higher you are of the SAM, the less realistic you are viewed to be, with investors. And also, to get those higher revenues, you'll need to spend more marketing money, build a bigger team. So you'll need more investment. There's more risk. There'll potentially be more costs, because you have the costs of servicing it. And in the real world, if you're marketing on, I don't know, Facebook or Google or whatever, it takes time to get that marketing right, to get that product market fit. You should already have got actual product market fit, but to get it out to the world, it takes time to get that messaging right. And you don't want to be spending, £20,000 a month on marketing when the message isn't right, so you're not getting a decent return on investment. So it takes time. So you've got to model all of these many variables can be modeled in a spreadsheet, and then you can settle on something that is not too conservative, not too bullish, not too risky, doesn't need too much investment, isn't happening so quickly that you can't execute your hiring plan, for example, because you're trying to hire 10 people a month. There are so many variables, but with a spreadsheet like this, you can get it right and test different scenarios and work out what actually is a reasonable scenario and strategy.
Okay.
But the thing is, I'm sure with the business plan, I feel like a lot of it is guesswork though.
It is, and that your job is to reduce that guesswork as much as possible. So with my business plan template, I am very, very clear, and I make sure my founders are very clear on what's an assumption, what's based on research, what's based on data that's been collected, and then work out how sensitive some of those assumptive data values are. You know, how if I change that by 1% or 10%, you know, that assumption I've made, how much does it actually affect my profit over time, or does it change me more loss, whatever? And that allows you to state what your key assumptions are, and it allows you to prioritize on what to test first. So, for example, if you don't know your customer acquisition costs, and you're guessing it, I would recommend the first thing you do is try and work out ballpark what the customer acquisition cost is going to be, for example. But you're absolutely right, Jamal. It is, a lot of it is guesswork, but bear in mind, it's very rare that it hasn't been done before. So you can use, you know, data that's readily available to get a range of figures, and ChatGPT is great at pulling this information together and giving you like a summary of that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to move to Yinka in the last few minutes. Hi, Yinka. Can you hear me? Okay. I haven't heard from you.
Yeah, I'm good. Good evening.
Hi. Where are you
Hello.
calling? Hi. Where are you
Yeah,
calling from, Yinka?
I'm calling from Watford.
Okay. Fantastic. And I won't run through. I did a little bit of a survey at the beginning of the call, but very briefly, if you can just summarize your situation and tell me what your main question is, maybe we can get you some value on this call now before we finish.
Basically, I don't have any questions now. Reason for joining this call is I've always had the idea of getting my startup right, but I just don't know where to start from. Honestly, yeah, just trying to gather ideas now.
That's okay. That's okay.
Yeah.
So you are pre-idea. You're trying to work out what to work on as your startup. Is that right?
Yeah, essentially. But I've always that's also my dream, my goal. I've always wanted to do it. Yeah, so
Okay.
essentially in that stage now. Yeah.
All right. That's perfectly reasonable. We all started there. Give me 1 second. Sorry.
That's true. That's all right.
Okay.
Okay, so what have you done so far to try and work out what area to work in?
Basically just sort of like my what I just maybe I would say maybe a little bit of analyzing my strengths and my interests and
Okay.
what problems I think could be solved at the moment. Yeah, that's kind of like the stage I'm in now.
Okay,
Yeah.
well that's good actually. I don't know if you've seen my one of my videos or resources is about the founder mindset, and one of those is to know yourself. So that's a good start. You know, understand your strengths and weaknesses, because none of us is strong in every area. So it's good because you'll need that to identify where you need help, for example. Have you identified kind of a target industry or a type of person you want to help?
Could you come again about the type of person I want to help?
Yeah, have you identified preliminarily even either an industry you want to work in, or a type of company, or a type of person that you want to try to help?
Yes, of course. I've sort of like I've been thinking about it for a while. I'm into tech. I would like to have a tech company. That's and I'm thinking I've darted around, just danced around a lot of ideas in my head and on paper as well. I've thought about logistics. I've thought about maybe health. I've thought about sort of agriculture. Just not clear at the moment. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
But I really would like to own a tech company, a tech startup. That's what I'm looking at.
Yeah, okay. And you've got the core, a startup is multi-layered. You've got the core of what is the problem you're solving. And that has to have value, or perceived value at least. Otherwise you won't make a viable business.
Yeah, you're right.
But then around that, there are a load of layers around that. The technology to implement it to solve that problem, the team, all the legals around it, and then you've got documentation that goes along, and you're getting investment. So there's a lot to learn, but I always try and start with that diamond, that thing that you're trying to do, the problem you're trying to solve, the people you're trying to help, and that's so important. So forget the rest. The rest is kind of like turning the handle. With help from someone like me, that's all quite straightforward. There are decisions to make along the way, some of which you make through gathering data, some of which you make through gut instinct. But forget those. Focus on what it is you want to do. And I think you need to focus. You can't dilute too much. So I think you need to pick something. And once you've picked it, give it a go. And of course, giving it a go, you're learning, creating something. So even if you do pivot later on, you're not wasting that time and energy, and you perhaps have some IP and resources that you can reuse.
Yeah.
But in order to decide what to do, for someone in your position, what I always say is speak to people, but do it in an open-minded, open question way.
Yeah. Okay.
Have and ideally people in your network, because as Saad mentioned earlier, people are busy and they haven't got time to just chat for an hour. But try and understand someone's role, understand the problems they're having, and the impact of those problems. And then if that resonates with you, dig a little deeper on that. And forget solution, forget product, just focus on the problem. What's the
problem? Okay.
And the person, or the type of company, or the type of consumer, or the role within the company that you're helping. Everything else should fall into place once you've made that decision.
Yeah, cool. Yeah.
And I'll say to you what I said to the others. I am running an offer on my academy at the moment, so you can get more calls like this to help you talk through your startup and how to actually go about doing this. The specifics of reaching out to people and speaking to people, and then what's beyond that. I'm running an offer at the moment, which is like £1 a month, £1 for the first month. So you can get 4 clinics like this and a forum of founders. Give it a go, and then we can hopefully help you move forward further.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think you've sent something in the chat, right?
Yeah, in the chat I've put a link.
Okay.
I've also actually, because you joined late, you didn't see everything. I'll also put a link to the academy so that you can see what it's got. But honestly, just for the 4 clinics, it's worth £1. I hope my time's worth more than 25 pence an hour.
That to me is, yeah.
The idea is, as you will see, I'm a very transparent person. The idea is that you'll realise that it's worth, staying on for, but there's no obligation. So, okay. Did anyone else have any more questions? I'm happy to go on a bit longer if you want to, but did anyone have any more questions that they wanted to cover?
For me, I guess I'm okay. Thank you very much. Yeah.
My pleasure.
Yeah.
My pleasure.
Yeah.
Lovely to meet you.
No question for me. Thank you for your time.
My pleasure. Jamal, anything from you?
Yeah. Just you can try and say it in a quick way if you can. But basically, I feel like with the platform that I'm making, obviously to be competitive, I've actually increased quite a lot just for my standard MVP, and I've got a lot of stubs written into my code. I was just gonna say, would you advise, obviously,
continuing down that path, or should I tone it back a bit?
You mean features?
The features, yeah. So basically, like, whenever like I'll problem solve by myself, so any problem that I'll face, and like I'll study my competitors quite a lot. So I feel like all the features that I've got, it makes me very competitive. But obviously, the way that I've built it, hence why I need like a CTO, is because it's become more expensive. It's kind of gone from my budget. Hence why now I'm going to do the family and friends stage. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So, I mean, is it B2B or B2C? Remind me.
It's a basically P2P. I wouldn't say B2B.
P2P.
Yeah.
B2B, you mean?
P2P, P2P, person to person.
But, right. So, but ultimately, your customer is not a business; it's an individual.
Yeah.
Okay, because individuals make buying decisions on emotion primarily.
Yeah.
Businesses don't do that. So it's an emotional buying thing. So you've got to tap in to that emotion, and typically the more information you give someone, the more you confuse them. So their emotion is I'm confused, and confused people don't buy.
But I thought I know it's not that. The features that I've added,
Yeah.
it's not so much that it'll be like with the user interface. It's more, a lot of it is invisible things that make me very competitive, if you know what I mean.
So does it increase the primary benefit?
100%, yeah.
Okay, so just give me some context here. What is that benefit?
All right. So obviously, I was gonna benefit from obviously going to more riskier markets, like the African market. A lot of the platforms that I've got to like work hand to hand with, obviously a bit skeptical about some African countries. So some of the benefits it makes, it's a lot safer basically. So a lot more things are either insured, or there's like, it's just that your products are a lot safer and everyone's money's a lot safer. Insured.
Yeah, no, we spoke before, didn't we, Jamal?
We did, yeah.
Yeah. I thought I recognised you, but it's hard to know when I'm just looking at a J on the screen. So, okay, so the difficult one. You're saying it does increase the benefit, but do you need to increase that benefit? Is there like this threshold where you've got to get above for people to buy, or is it a case of the percentage of people buying goes up and up and up? Because
you know what it is, since last we spoke, I really like deep dived into that market research, yeah. And on one hand, it gave me confidence because I could see, I already knew about some of the businesses, but I can even see other startups trying a similar sort of thing.
Yeah.
But like on the other hand, and it gave me confidence because I know that other people are doing it. I know that it can work. But it's like in random places, I've seen some of the features that I've thought of myself being implemented in places, yeah. And I just know that to stay competitive, some of it would be needed. Do you know what I mean? I could do it without it, but I feel like it is needed.
Okay, but what if you instead said, okay, I'm going to go with the minimum feature set. So I'm providing, benefit level of, 1 out of 5, for example. A percentage of people will buy the product, trial it, and or buy it, whatever, use your service. And then you can try to find out from them what is the reason why people don't buy. This is missing feature, or this and this, and then you can run statistics on that and start to get a feeling for what actually is the next lowest hanging fruit. Because you could spend forever adding features that you don't really know are the reason why. If you start getting revenue in, you start getting a name, you get early to market, especially if there are other people entering the market. You want to move quickly, and then also you can start shouting about these extra features. You can do mailings to existing and customers that trialed but didn't buy, for example. So it's adding a feature like this is a good reason to engage with customers and potential customers. So use data and use it as an opportunity to engage.
Okay.
That would be my preference.
All right, thank you.
The logic of that makes sense.
It did, but I'll play it back anyway and listen to it again.
Okay, yeah. All I'm saying is drip feed it. It, and then you can use data to determine what to drip feed, and you can use that to engage further with your potential customers.
All right, cool. I got you.
Fantastic. All right. Well, if there's no other big questions, then let's finish there.
I just have a comment.
Okay, go for it. Go for it.
Yeah, just to say, I think apologies for joining late. I sort of missed the time. I thought it was 6 and it was 5 p.m. I just saw the email late that the meeting started by 5. I'm so sorry about that. I'm sure I missed a lot, but I just want to say I think I with the little time spent here, I think I've gained a lot in terms of direction. Yeah, I've always sometimes it feels mind is so full I don't know where to start. Yeah.
You're not
And
you're not alone. Don't worry.
Sorry?
You're not alone. Do not worry.
Yeah, it feels like my head is so full I don't know where to start. So yeah, I think I sort of got that direction. I hope we can have many more of these meetings. Yeah, I'll definitely join the academy and
Fantastic.
hopefully we can build something from there. Thank you very much.
Yeah, lovely
That's
to meet you. And lovely to meet you, everybody. And yeah, I hope to see you on the other side, I guess.
Okay.
All right. Have a
Good
good
night, Stuart.
evening. Cheers.
Thanks so much.
Bye.
Good night. Bye-bye.
Bye.